earlier, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it was the mission of the Faculty of Economics and Business is to build and sustain the leading learning community and business, economics and government in Australia and its regions. And underneath that broad purpose, there was ways of achieving this, and that is intellectual and personal development, international orientation, engagement with government, industry, community organisations and professions. And I'm going to talk about how this faculty has tried to succeed in each of these categories in order to achieve the sort of main purpose. But how is this mission statement management accounting? Well, for our purposes, the first basic definition we're going to use is that management accounting is any form of representation, any form of information that management use to achieve a certain purpose. And that certain purpose is to direct individual behaviour towards organisational goals. So it's anything that management are using, any information, representation, it can be anything that helps them align the interests and align the behaviour of their subordinates with the organisational goals. It is a very functional definition. It's the first definition we're going to look at. And it's a good definition because it dictates formally how most accounting works. And how does it work in this particular instance? Well, there's a very broad purpose about being an international leader, an organisation that excels in research, in teaching and in community and government, and then it breaks that down. So what is education? What is teaching? What is community? And there will be parts under, there's actually sections under the main purpose that define each of those. What is research? What is scholarship? But also it has methods of achieving those. So one of the things is personal, individual development. And this is an attribute you don't see often in many companies, but you see it in knowledge-intensive industries like consulting firms or biomedical organisations, where individual knowledge and individuals' creativity is actually what also leads to organisational excellence. So in Sydney University's particular case, they're focusing on individual development. As you know, I'm a staff member of Sydney University, or the discipline of accounting within the Faculty of Economics and Business, and my ability to produce good quality research, write well, speak well, create videos, educational videos, is good for my career, it's good for my personal development, intellectual development, but it's also good for the university. Our interests are aligned, because spending money on me is also spending money on a valuable asset for the organisation. In other organisations, for instance manufacturing, there is such a thing as spending too much money on employees, because they have very little ability to add value to the outcome of the process, of the production process. So if your job is to make metal drums within a packaging organisation, you don't need to have knowledge about Shakespeare, you don't need to have knowledge about how to make a movie or anything like that. The organisation is only interested in your knowledge to the extent that it goes into the drums, improving the value of the drums. So that's interesting, and that's different for our organisation. Then the next thing is international recognition. So a big focus for the faculty is being seen as an international leader in research and education, business education. So what have we seen recently? We see a push towards accreditation processes that allow our discipline of accounting to be ranked against all other accounting disciplines in the world, and the faculty to be ranked against all other faculties in the world. And that way we attract more quality international students, and we attract funding. It looks good on a funding basis. And we attract international visitors and great new talent, international talent. And so that has been an important aspect of the strategy, because that leads to further better quality students, leads to better pedagogic outcomes. Better quality staff means better research, better teaching. It's just generally leads to the achievement of the purpose. And lastly, the third tier of achieving the purpose is networking with other institutions and society. And this is important, as the university is seen to have a societal role as much as, not just in terms of teaching, but in terms of its contributions to medicine and research that helps industry. But what the Faculty of Business and Economics mission statement does not do is talk about the informal strategies that are going on in the organisation. And that's the benefit of doing case research and case study analysis, which we're going to be doing in this course, because we get verbatim what it's like to live in these organisations and what the informal processes are, the informal strategies are within our organisations. And this gives us a realer perspective of what organisational life is and what the role of accounting, management accounting is within this. So let's break down the title of this particular subject, Current Issues in Management Accounting. And I'm going to first start by talking about management accounting. And in our lecture slides we can see that is 5 different points, and I'm going to go through each of them now. Firstly, it is the use of accounting by management. And this can mean many different things. And accounting is perhaps the most powerful tool management possess within organisations. It is powerful for 2 main reasons. Research sort of sees management accounting as playing 2 main roles for managers. The first is for decision making. So we can accumulate and gather energy from different operations, from different departments. We can assess how business units are going, and the productivity, efficiency, all sorts of measures. I mean, they're just very tangible. In the growth of intangible knowledge, intangible assets, how much time we spend learning, how much time we spend improving processes, production processes, our pollution levels, our levels of waste, our customer happiness, satisfaction indexes. They're all forms or all ways of understanding how our business is operating. Then that information allows us to make decisions to improve the business, and which managers make those decisions, and that then leads to the actions being carried out by their subordinates in business activity. Those actions can be about trying to realign the business with their strategy, or it can be about creating a new strategy, understanding what's wrong with the old strategy. The other way, so that was decision making. The other way that managers can use accounting is for purposes of control. And this is what I find personally a lot more interesting. Now, we had a look at an example of a mission statement. A mission statement is a control mechanism in the way it can motivate staff. Control can also be in the way that I use the information that I gather with management accounting to set targets for levels of profit, revenue, or costs, or productivity, or efficiency. So that can be, we call that a KPI or a scorecard. That can be a way of motivating staff to achieve, in a very positive way, goals. And those particular KPIs would be aligned with the strategy. So we can see, firstly, the first way is a form of motivational attribute or motivational apparatus, which gives us a sort of bigger purpose and set of objectives and strategic goals. That can motivate people, control people. It can be used also as what we would call a diagnostic or cybernetic form of control, which is measuring people's behaviour. There's forms of negative forms of control as well. So let's set out restrictions, rules, procedures and plans that need to be followed to a T in order to control people's behaviour. So it's not just about motivating people and setting goals for people, but also setting limitations and setting rules. Accounting can do that as well. And then also there's a whole series of ways of thinking about the use of these different tools. So how are KPIs used? How are mission statements and credos used? How are rules used? Then there's a whole set of other controls which we've talked about in Management Accounting B, which relate to the social aspects. So who do we employ? How do we employ them? Training, that can be a form of control. The sorts of discourses I use in the organisation, how do I refer to, how do I create an image of the perfect manager to inspire other managers? How do I sort of set the tone of what it means to be an employee here? This is a more psychological, identity-based control, and accounting is very much used and implicated in that as well.